Welcome to Groundbreakers. I am your host, Nick Stilo, and my co-host, Joe Villar.
Welcome back, everyone.
And welcome to this next episode of Groundbreakers, where we are talking about $15 billion being added to the Canadian Rental Construction Financing Program.
Absolutely.
What does this mean, guys?
We are talking about $15 billion that's been added to the ACLP, which is the Apartment Construction Loan Program, previously known as RCFI, Rental Construction Financing Initiative, of which we have a deal with the Canadian government under RCFI.
Absolutely, we do. And this top-up will now bring 131,000 new apartments to Canada.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Interestingly, we bring 131 new apartments to Canada in our Oakville project that we'll be occupying in spring. That's also under RCFI, which was actually announced by the federal government back in November of 2023. They announced that One Urban was a recipient of the RCFI, and we got $55.7 million to build our construction or for our construction costs.
Absolutely, yeah.
So when it comes to this $1 billion mark that Trudeau is announcing, the $1 billion, it's $1 billion.
It's $15 billion.
Okay, I don't know if people fully grasp what 15 billion means.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, but where are they allocating this money?
So they're allocating it to any developer, big or small, that will build rental units, purpose-built rental units.
Okay.
And there are now, if this is ACLP, then it would be focused more on affordability as opposed to MLI Select, which is focused on affordability, accessibility, and carbon reduction.
What do you know about this, Joe?
Well, we've lived through it, so I can tell you that it is a good program.
Challenging at times.
Can be challenging at times. Well, federal government can be challenging at times, but overall, it helps bring more doors to the people, which is what we need. We need to build more homes for people. And so the government's stepping up here and providing additional financing and additional programs to provide more housing, which I think is fantastic.
I agree. In 2023, Canada saw 698,000 non-permanent residents, more than the preceding 5 years.
It's a lot of people.
And out of that, Ontario saw 305,000 non-permanent residents.
Where do you find homes for all these people? We need to build more.
Yes.
We definitely need to build
But
more.
there's a lot of blockades for building right now. There's a lot of blockades.
I don't know about blockades. There's challenges.
Well, okay, so how many people need homes and how many are currently being built?
Well, I just told you 305,000 people came in 2023. Correct. We didn't start nowhere near that many in Ontario.
So what do we
Probably
do
a fifth
now?
of that.
What do we do now? What is the answer for this?
Interest rates.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the interest rates. Now, apparently in June, they're supposed to drop a quarter point.
We'll see.
Well, supposedly, it's supposed to drop. What does this mean for us? What does that mean for you guys?
Well, I think what it means for us,
Sure,
in general, is that it'll inspire a little more confidence in the consumer to be able to go out and get a mortgage, go out and buy a home, get into the real estate market. I think for us, it affects our construction costs. RCFI was a fixed rate, whereas MLI Select, of which we are currently in negotiation with the federal government on our Barrie project, is a variable rate. So if the basis points come down 25%, then that affects our construction.
Interest rates affect costs. Most businesses have cash flow issues where they have to rely on lines of credit or other borrowing needs, and interest rates matter.
of course.
The lower the interest rate, the lower the borrowing cost, the greater the cash flow. So by lowering interest rates, provides more cash flow to not only developers and contractors, but it allows for greater margins and profitability, and it just makes things easier for everyone. So interest rates definitely do matter.
I think if you want to go back to the question that you asked originally, like what are the blockades or what are the things that are making it more difficult? I think approvals are making it really difficult. Approvals which should take a lot less time or taking a heck of a lot more time. And from a development perspective, you could have a project within the city for years until it gets approved. Years. We've seen it. We're living through it. Our 430 ESSA condos, that was our shortest. That was our shortest. That was 2 years in the city. But Old Bronte, for example, that was 5 years until we got an approval.
That's right.
440 ESSA is 4 years.
Yeah.
We're getting better.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're getting better.
Still too long.
It is still too long. So another part of the Canada Builds announcement that Trudeau made was that they want to shorten those approval times from, your average of 18 months down to 12 months. I still think that's pretty optimistic.
They will? Is it in the works? Does
They
it have
want
to. Be
to.
passed?
Well, the legislation, the Planning Act, actually requires site plan approval to be approved within 60 days.
60 days.
Fact check that.
While Nick is looking this up, Joe, are businesses able to have a locked rate when they have a line of credit?
Typically, lines of credit are floating rate.
Typically. But
Typically.
can you have it fixed?
On a line of credit?
Yes.
Not that I'm aware of.
As a business line of credit?
As a business line of credit, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
If it's a mortgage with a fixed term, then perhaps.
I see.
But if it's a line of credit, typically it's based on whatever the current lending rate is, and that's dictated by the Bank of Canada.
And it fluctuates based on what they announce?
It fluctuates based on the Bank of Canada rate. So as the Bank of Canada rate adjusts, so does the lending rates adjust.
Okay. So there is no such, all right, it's at 6%. This is what I'm going to keep it at. So this way I know if I have a particular job that requires 50 million,
Yep.
I know that for the next 2 years, this is what the rate's at.
That's right. But if there's uncertainty as to what the next 2 years bring, and interest rates could go up, then that affects my ability to now predict what my costs are going to be and what my overall profit's going to be.
I see. Yes, Nick.
So, if a municipality fails to approve a site plan within 30 days, the applicant may appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal or a local appeal body that has been established and empowered to hear site plan matters.
After how many days?
30 days.
30 days, not 60 days. Joe, when it comes to the estimated, no, is it an estimated 50 plus billion that he's going to put in? Is it estimated?
The number says 15 billion. So we're going to leave it at that.
15.
15 billion.
Okay. And this
Yes.
is something that has already been approved and passed.
It's been announced.
Disclaimer.
It's been announced.
Nothing permanent.
I don't know if it's passed yet, but it's been announced. So I'm assuming if it's been announced, it's pretty much a done deal.
Pretty much a done deal.
Yeah.
When does it actually trickle down to you guys? Oh, what happened, Nick?
Nothing is pretty much a done deal until it becomes legislation.
I get it, but the government will typically not make
still gotta
announcements
go-
like this unless they're pretty sure that they're going to get passed.
Yeah.
That's still got to go through, proclamation.
Who does it have to
royal
go through?
Assent, proclamation and royal assent.
For the people who don't know what that is, including myself, what does that mean?
Basically, the Governor General of Ontario needs to
Stamp it.
proclaim it
Uh-huh.
as law.
Okay. And that, obviously, they're not there yet.
No.
So
If it was
announcing
just announced, no, it wasn't there. It could take forever. There are certain things in the Planning Act that were announced 5 years ago that still aren't approved,
so technically, this
that still aren't proclaimed. Rather,
this 15 billion though gets divided between how many people? See, that's the other question. How much of that money would actually come into your facility?
as much as we ask for,
No, well, you're competing with others. Obviously,
we are based on our application. We could ask for
100 million.
easily.
Okay, but I'm wondering if some of the top dogs have the right of say when it comes to this amount of money.
I don't know. We got our CFI, and there was only $4 billion back then.
I don't think that's a criteria. I think it's the project has to merit the funding.
That's
Well,
right.
Let's talk
If
about
the
that.
project merits the funding,
Yeah.
then that's how they get the funding.
Let's talk about that. So if this 15 billion has been announced, what is the criteria in order to apply to get some of this? What kind of-
Location is one.
okay.
Approval from the local municipality or partnership
Yeah.
with the local municipality is another.
Yeah.
Which means that if you partner with the local municipality on some level, they give you a grant, they give you some sort of capital fund for this project, this specific project, then it's a partnership that you're doing with the local municipality, and the federal government really likes that.
Okay. So you have to do it in a way where they see growth from it.
Always. But you could see growth from 4 units. Like, and that's to your point, anybody can apply to RCFI. If the project makes sense, it doesn't matter if it's 4 units or 400 units. Or in this case, MLI Select or ACLP.
No,
Anybody can apply.
Okay, so you guys are building Old Bronte in Oakville. What about if I was building the exact same building in downtown Toronto? Do you think I would have more leverage over you guys?
The government will look at the demographics of the area and they will assess the need.
Okay. Oh, to see if
there is a need.
If there is a
Absolutely.
need for affordable housing, if there's a need for rental housing, if there's a need for attainable housing.
Okay, so that all depends on the area.
That's
Depends
right.
on location.
In the announcement of this $15 billion, was there any little mini stipulations for it? Was there anything small that they maybe didn't mention?
No, that's
verbally
always in the side in the fine print.
in the fine print.
Yeah, which you don't get to until you've
Until
got an
it's-
agreement on your table that's 60 pages long.
Would you guys apply for it? Would you actually?
We have.
You
Our
have.
ACLP is the former RCFI. We were granted $55.7 million from that.
Correct.
And an additional $6.25 million from Halton Region.
Is there a reduced interest rate on this $15 billion?
There are favorable terms.
Longer amortization.
Ah. Okay.
So typically your amortization is 25 to 30 years. On these programs, it could go up to 50 years.
I see.
But you're
That's a
also
very good incentive.
but you're also to qualify, to go back to Joe's points, if the project merits, you're also including really expensive things like geothermal technology, cogeneration technology, high heat gain coefficient windows that reject the sunlight in the summertime and keep it cooler on the inside. These are a lot more expensive to buy up front. Or you could be giving affordability. Affordability cuts your revenues significantly. So it's not like you're just getting this for nothing. The business model needs to make sense with the policy on the loan, and if it does, then great. If it doesn't, you don't do a project with the Canadian government.
What was your first initial take, guys, when you heard of this announcement?
Favorable.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
it's about
government
time.
needs to do more of it.
More
Yeah.
of it. When was the last time
for-
they announced it? They announced money being given.
Oh, not too long ago, they topped up. The MLI Select by like $20 billion. Freeland announced sometime last year.
I think this particular government program started in 2017,
That's right.
Okay.
and I think there's about over 18 billion now invested by the government in this program.
Now, here's good pick up on that. Are the conservatives in favor of this? Conservatives are not like liberals. They want housing and building and infrastructure to keep going.
Well, I think the Liberal government just proved to you that they want it as well.
Do you think
They wouldn't put $15 billion on the table if they didn't. And they put another, as I said, I believe it was $20 billion last year. Freeland announced, and when it started, it was $4 billion.
How much of that previous amount is allocated? Is it already all gone?
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah, it'll go quick.
Remember, I mean, 15 billion may sound like a big number, but when you're looking at an average project that maybe in the $100 to $200 million range,
That's right.
It goes quick.
it goes very fast.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the carbon tax for a second. Okay? Now, with this announcement of 15 billion into our ecosystem, they've also announced 23% carbon tax. Could you please shed some light on what exactly this means?
Higher costs for everyone
Uh-huh.
in everything.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, everything when you look at it, everything that's produced, all the services that are provided, come down to our natural resources, i.e., our fossil fuels. Okay.
Okay.
So if our gas is going up, then everything else is going up with it. The cost of transportation is going up. The cost of goods are going up. It's a chain effect.
But we're not talking about 2-3%. We're talking 23%.
It's a big number.
It's a huge number. Now,
Absolutely.
Nick, what does this mean in your sector, yours and Joe's sector?
Construction runs off fuel.
So what does this mean
All of
now on the projects that you already have in motion that now you did not prepare for a 23% increase in carbon tax?
I don't think that it's going to impact our Oakville project because we're at the tail end of it. I think it's definitely going to impact our next Barrie purpose-built project that's just starting construction in a few weeks. Machinery is all run by fuel. Dump trucks are all run by fuel. Every material is shipped to site by a truck. Every material that goes into that construction was shipped to the fabricator by a truck, by a train, by something that uses fuel, by a boat. So that's going to trickle down. It's going to trickle down to a stick of butter if you really want to go back to the butter. What was it last time? $8?
Yeah.
Let's see how much it is in the next few weeks.
So currently right now, they tried to appeal this. It didn't work. Did you hear about that? We can talk about that. Now, 23% carbon tax. In the long run, what is the government saying that it will benefit? What will it do for our stability for the economy?
The motivation behind the
Yes.
current government in imposing this carbon tax is our commitment globally when it comes to the environment. Okay? So the current government's perspective is they want to, it's going to be short-term pain for long-term gain in terms of how Canada plays a role in the global gas emission environment.
Nick, did you hear that? Short-term pain for long-term gain, just like when they implemented the PST and GST. Remember
Correct.
for the war?
Yeah, they were supposed to get rid of it.
Yeah, and they lasted for like 60 years. Well, to be honest, it's still to this current day. Now we just call it HST. So,
Well, that's amalgamated between federal and
correct.
provincial tax.
Do you think that this 23% increase is ever going to go away?
Hard to say. If the Conservatives win the next election, they might scrap it. They've been very vocal about it. They obviously voted against it.
Well,
So
let's have some
it's hard to say.
vocalization here on this podcast. How do you guys feel about it? Do we need it or do we not need it?
I don't think anybody needs more tax right now, whether it be carbon tax or any other tax.
I'm not exactly sure that this tax
Rain
is...
tax.
Yeah, I'm not...
Hear about that
I heard
one?
about that.
Let's
yeah.
not talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
So, rain tax. Now, I know about it as well. For everyone that just laughed out loud hearing you say rain tax, Nick, please tell everyone what rain tax actually means.
So, rain tax is Olivia Chow, the mayor of the city of Toronto's new idea of calculating the surface area on your property that is not permeable, that can't absorb rain. Surface area that will deflect rain, like your roof, like your hardscaping, like your decking, like your driveway. Calculate that area and tax you on it, because the theory behind it is that that area is not allowing rain to be absorbed into the earth, and instead it's running off and into the municipal sewer system. So they want to tax you for discharging more water into the municipal sewer system. I don't want to talk about it. I don't talk about it. I have really bad feelings about this.
Joe,
I think, in my point of view, in my opinion, just another way to grab taxes from the taxpayer. That's all it is.
I can't even.
They're just trying to be more creative about it.
Look. The city. Let me say this. The city of Toronto needs a lot more infrastructure with the amount of people that are coming in.
Sure.
So the only way to get that is to tax. That's a reality. Or cuts. Either you save or you ask for more. I just don't know why the city didn't look internally for more. I mean, for crying out loud, there are a ton of city workers that are redundant, that do the same job as the next guy.
Sure. It's like when Elon Musk went to buy X, Twitter, and he basically cleaned out 80% of the garbage that wasn't necessary. The problem I have with this particular rain tax, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. So basically, if you bought a house 50 years ago and clearly it's not sustainable to hold rain properly, you're going to get taxed.
I don't think it has to do with the age.
It doesn't? Are you
No,
sure?
it has nothing to do with the age. It's the amount of surface area that deflects water. So, again, if you're looking at a house, and a house is typically surface areas are your roof, your patio, your driveway, your deck. All those areas hold water or deflect water into the sewer system, and they don't actually absorb it. So it has nothing to do with age. It has to do with the amount of grass you have. So if you have more grass and less driveway, and a small house with a small roof, you'll pay less rain tax. If you have a patio in your backyard and a deck and a big driveway that parks like 5 cars or 6 cars, you're going to get taxed more because you have more surface area that's deflecting more rain into the municipal storm system.
What's the tax? Do you know what the tax is?
Oh, I don't even know.
I wonder.
Don't know.
I don't even
We
know.
got a fact
I don't
checker?
care.
Okay, let's assume it's not even okay. Do you know if this is going to actually happen? That's the other thing people want to know, because it's been announced.
Right.
Nothing has technically come into full effect. I think that it'll be a bit of an anarchy, to be quite honest. No one's gonna pay that. Come on,
They have to.
Come
if it's
on,
taxed,
it's a
then
rain
they'll
tax,
put it
for
on.
God's
They'll
sakes.
put it on title of your house.
sun tax. There's too much sun smashing onto my roof,
That's next.
right?
Yeah.
Like when you first heard that, imagine it. Okay, imagine if they come to you now that you're building a brand new building in Oakville, and Oakville, the mayor of Oakville, comes to you and says, "You know what? I don't know if you're going to be able to sustain the rain here too. We're going to charge you heavy tax now. Rain tax. How would you respond to that?
It discourages you from building more.
Exactly.
It discourages
Right?
you. I'm going to go back to the engineering of our green roof, and I'm going to show them and say, "This is how much water we're retaining on that roof," and then you can go and show them the bill of what it cost us.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying if she announces this rain tax, isn't there going to be a lot of engineers involved now to see which houses are susceptible to this sort of a tax? Like, isn't there just now a lot of red tape? Because you can't just say, yeah, that house, that building, that house. How are they going to implement this kind of a tax?
They're going to have to survey every
Do
property.
you know how much that's going to cost? That's going to cost a fortune.
Yeah, they could possibly even do it digitally using Google Earth and AI to just calculate a rough estimate. It's like Geo Warehouse.
So
When
you
go
are
on,
in
it's always
favor of the rain tax.
I'm
I
not in
see.
favor. I'm just telling you how they're going to do it to make
Possibly.
it easy. They might just use Google Earth or some high definition image from satellites.
Put it
and
out
then
as
just
possible, though.
use AI to calculate the surface area on everybody's house. It'll be done in no time.
He has a point. I didn't like it from the very beginning when it was announced. And even though you're giving me, the realistic approach to it, I still don't agree with it.
Oh, I'm not giving you a realistic approach. I'm giving you how they're going to do it. That doesn't mean that I'm in support of it. Like I said in the beginning, I don't want to talk about it.
Is it just Toronto? Oh, that's another thing.
Yeah, it's City of Toronto. She's the mayor
That's it.
that announced it. I don't know.
Do you think
if
other
any
cities
mayors-
will start to merit this and start to acquire this if it works?
Well, I think Toronto will be the guinea pig, and and everyone else will watch and see
the pilot?
See
Right.
if it works. And then everyone will adopt this idea.
if it works out.
Okay. I got some more fine print to announce to everyone. If they wanted to find out where they can get more information on the Groundbreakers podcast, guys, take it away.
You can find us at oneurban.ca on all social media channels, and info@oneurban.ca is our email. Oneurban.ca is our website. Check us out. And with that, Groundbreakers out, where dreams get real and bricks get laid. Until next time, keep building.
Bye-bye, everyone.
See you later.